What's going on, everybody? Today I'm at my storage unit and I'm getting ready for this vintage clothing event I'm doing this weekend called the Pitt Vintage Palooza. It's in Pittsburgh. It's actually in Oakland, like right near the Pitt campus. But anyways, I'm getting ready for the event, so I'm like getting stuff together, and I found a lot of cool stuff in my storage unit that I wanted to show you guys, and maybe just show you some of the stuff that I'm bringing. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, my name is Zach and I love vintage stuff. I've been selling vintage clothes and other things like that for around 9 or 10 years now. I usually sell on my website, vintagezach.com, but sometimes I do like pop-ups and things like that. So this weekend I'm doing that one in Pittsburgh. Lately I've been trying to do more pop-ups and like in-person events just because it's really fun to meet people, and I get to bring out a lot more stuff than like it just takes so much time to photograph and ship and do all this stuff like just on my website. So it's like a lot different of a pace whenever you set up an actual vintage event. So in this video I'll also maybe be showing some of the things that I do to get ready to go to an event, but yeah, just in general, I'm just going to be showing some of the cool stuff that I have in my unit. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and consider subscribing. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I brought out of there, just because they were literally right up front, were all of these vintage hats. I found these at the flea market a couple weeks ago. I found over 100 vintage NASCAR racing related hats. I mentioned them in a reel that I made, but I never made a YouTube video about it or anything. But there's a lot of great hats in here, like Winston Cup ones. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. But some of them need work because they have foam issues, like this one right here. This one, the foam is like cracking on the inside, so I gotta get that out of there. It's just sort of hard to like clean the hats in my storage unit, so I gotta bring them all home so I can really clean them the right way. But yeah, this is one of my favorite hats in here. Richard Petty. It's got this big patch on the front, and then it's like multicolor up top. You really just don't see that often on vintage hats. This thing has got to be from the 80s at some point, probably early 80s. This hat, the tag is really cool on it. It's a car. Just think about how many cool tags that companies used to have that were just cut off, and now nobody even has them anymore. Like, I found all this Pee Wee Herman stuff one time, and there were really cool tags on the Pee Wee Herman stuff that, I mean, just nobody would have anymore just because everybody cut it off. This one I found at a different flea market, but it's so funny. New Pig Corporation's got a pig on it. I need to steam it so that the wrinkles get out of the foam up top, but that thing should fix up really nice. And at that same flea market, I found all of these Ducks Unlimited hats. They're all the same except for that one. They're all just this, but they're in great condition. Those are really cool hats. And here's an Anheuser-Busch. So cool. Yeah, if this thing gets reshapen, dang, that's an awesome hat. So yesterday I came here and I did something a little bit different this time. I put the price tags actually on the hanger. Usually I would just like tag things individually, but I learned that people, like if the tag's on the inside, like usually I would put it like attached to the actual tag. I would put it like in there, and people when they're looking through, they can't see it. So I'm trying this time. I'm putting the tag on here. That way, like next time I won't actually have to tag anything. I'll just put something that's the same value on that same hanger, and that'll work. Most of these hangers I got from, I think, Home Depot. They have a lot of like really fairly priced hangers in bulk that you can buy. I really like the wooden hangers. A lot of people you see at these events have like the plastic hangers. I just don't think they look as good. I found these the other day that I thought they were kind of cool. They're like Hugo Boss, but they're different brands. I'm not sure. I guess they're racing related or something. This one, yeah, it just has Boss on the sleeve here. I also found these at a recent estate sale that I went to. It's a few like early 2000s quarter zips, Polo Sport. This is something that like when I first started selling stuff like 2017, 2018, this is what was like really popular, but I still got a good deal on them and they're still pretty cool. Like this one, check this out. It's not a quarter zip, but Tommy Hilfiger, pretty random. Oh, and also my dad used to own a dry cleaners and he gave me this rack. So that's why it says cleaners on it. But I just kept it on because it's pretty funny that it's still on there. But yeah, most of the other racks I've got off Facebook Marketplace, but this is one that I got from his old cleaners. Here's a couple cool 80s sweatshirts. This one, it's for Drexel University, but it says Dwexel. And it's on this tag. You see a lot of like cartoon stuff on that tag. And then Pisces. But yeah, most of my sweatshirts are like 25 bucks and then my t-shirts are 20 usually. Also, I have this Black Eyed Peas women's tank top. I brought this to the last event that I went to and basically nobody even looked at it. So maybe this is more of like an online thing to sell, but like I thought it was so cool. I need to look into it more, like when this is actually from, but this is just like such a random thing. Also, when I was at my storage yesterday, I sorted out some of my belt buckles. You may have seen a video that I posted a couple weeks ago that I found this massive belt buckle collection. Well, I still have so many of them, and I went through and I sorted them out by like different genre. Like these are all the nature ones, but there's also a Y2K box and like car related, like racing, NASCAR and biker stuff. But yeah, the main reason I'm showing you this is I pulled out a couple Panther ones which are perfect for going to Pitt because their mascot is the Pitt Panther. So yeah, this is so sick. This one and this wooden one. One of the first belt buckles I ever found was a Panther one that was this exact style, except it wasn't this exact one. But yeah, I always love this one. It's just like so big, and I just love how it's the actual shape of the Panther head. But yeah, check out this one. It's so heavy. It's German silver. I never heard of that before, but I don't think it's like very valuable at all. It's just sort of like a different type of metal. It's not like normal silver, but it's like the heaviest belt buckle ever, and it's so big. A lot of other cool ones in here, like this one holds a lighter. I sold one of these for the website drop, but I still have a couple more. Yeah, it's cool. It just slides out of there, and you can put any Zippo lighter you want in there. Like, bro, there's so many cool ones. I tried to sort them out so that it was a little bit easier for me to do different drops and things like that, because in my first drop I sort of just sold a wide variety, but now I just needed more of an idea of like what I even had. These wooden ones are pretty cool, but they're just sort of awkward to wear. Like this one, it's so big, but it's just like awkward, and I feel like these might break easier. I'm not sure. I haven't had one break or anything, but they just seem like way more fragile than the metal ones. But yeah, there's like a whole set of all these ones that are like the circle with the landscape behind. I love those. The hard thing specifically about belt buckles is they're really niche. So like if I brought them to a vintage event, like I'm sure a few people would be into them, but if I brought like a whole table of them, I'm sure not as many people would come over to look if they thought, oh, he just has belt buckles, you know. It's sort of something that you really like, I don't know, maybe you need to find one yourself first to really get you into them, or I don't really know how to really get people into them for the first time, but it's definitely something that like you need to have some experience with before you just like go off and buy a belt buckle. So I'm only bringing a couple this time just to see how they sell, but yeah, there's just so many great ones. I wish I could just like only have a pop-up with belt buckles, but yeah, maybe not whenever I go to just like a campus that I've never sold at before. So this video I'm showing you right now is from last week. I haven't even made a video about this haul yet, but I wanted to add these in because I was just pretty excited about the find. So I met up with this guy at the flea market who I'd bought stuff from before, and he brought all of these dead stock WWF posters with him. This find was pretty cool because a lot of these still have their original tags on it from Kmart, only $3.99 at Kmart back in the day. But a lot of them are dated right on the side, but I couldn't even tell what they exactly were just from the outside. not sure if I should open these or not. You guys will have to let me know down below. But I can tell that a lot of them are stone cold and some of them are the rock. But yeah, I can't really tell what is actually on the posters. I've tried looking some of them up, but it's actually incredibly hard to tell when you can just see like the bottom 2 inches. I am able to tell that a few of them are duplicates, so I'm definitely bare minimum opening the duplicates. I mean, does it really make it that much more valuable to have them sealed versus laid out? I mean, you can't even really tell what they are when they're sealed. This guy also, so whenever I met up with him, I actually was able to go to his house, and after I was done looking through all the clothes, he was like, come out to the garage, I have some toys and random other stuff out there. And so I started looking through the bins there, and I found all of these vintage troll dolls. These aren't like the really old ones, but these are from the 80s and 90s. You can usually tell that they're like from the 90s era because they have like the crazy color hair, but I just love all the different outfits they're in. There was like weird licensing problems with trolls, so a lot of these are made by different manufacturers. This one right here, the one I just showed you, is actually an ornament. That's why it has that string on the back, but you can tell the good ones by just the quality of clothing they're in, and just I don't know, there's some random ones in here like this one on a bike. There's also like some mini ones. These ones are definitely from like some weird off-brand, especially this one. Like, what the hell even is that? One of the most notable things that I found in there though were these trolls keychains. Never seen these before, and they're still all there on their original store cardboard. Super cool. So I've been getting more into buying pennants lately, and I found all these at a couple different estate sales, and I'm probably just going to try to bring them. Even though they're not Pittsburgh related, they're still pretty cool, and I'm sure somebody would want to hang these up in their dorm room or something. Oh yeah, here's a few more. I had to go look for them. I knew there were more somewhere else. But yeah, not Pittsburgh related, but Spirit of 76, still cool pennants. I really like the colors on this one. And yeah, dated 1976 down at the bottom of this one too. Something else that I picked up recently that I'm not kidding, I know nothing at all about. I just got a crazy good deal on these. I was walking around at the flea market and I saw these for sale, and I was like, okay, these look pretty old, and they were still in their original packaging. Sailor Moon, and down at the bottom they're dated 1996. I've personally never seen this toy or anything like this at the flea market, so I was like, it's worth picking up. You guys will have to let me know if this is something that I should have picked up. I think I ended up paying $40 or $45 for all of this stuff. The boxes are super messed up, or at least on these two dolls, but yeah, I'm not really sure. Aside from the trolls, I really never pick up toys, and I'm not too into that kind of stuff, but it's something interesting that I see at different vintage markets that I go to. A lot of people are selling this type of stuff, and I know people are interested in it, so I was like, maybe I'll take a gamble and try to bring this to a future event. This isn't something that I would bring to the pit market, but maybe at like a future Totally Rad I'll bring these to. So that same day at the flea market, I also found all of these vintage duffel bags. They were $3 a piece. A lot of them are still in their original packaging, so I really couldn't tell what was on the other side of them. But yeah, I opened this one up and it says super fresh. It's like a random store. I've never heard of that store before, but I'm guessing these bags are all like free game giveaways. Like if you went on a specific Friday, they gave you a free bag. They're all pretty nice quality, and a couple of them are actually pretty big, like this Florida Panthers one. These aren't something that are worth a ton of money, but you know, I only spent $3 a piece, and I'll probably be able to sell them for $20 or $25 a piece, so it was definitely a good deal. Speaking of bags, here's another one that I've had literally forever. I think I've had this for 5 or 6 years. It's just been sitting in my storage unit. I haven't even posted it for sale. It's just been in there for some reason. But it's this denim bag that has like different patchwork all over it. Pretty sure it's from the 70s, and I guess it's reversible. Like here's what the inside looks like, and it's really cool. Here's something else that I've had for a while, these vintage camel boxer shorts. I found these about a year ago at a garage sale where I found a ton of vintage camel stuff. I think at the time I found 3 or 4 pairs of these, so I have sold those ones, but I still have these left over. But these are just sort of like, they should be shorts, but they're just too thin to be worn as actual shorts. I also found these duck boxers whenever I had this big duck haul about 6 months ago. I don't know what to do with these either, so they're just in my storage unit. Here's another cool clothing find that's actually from pretty recently. So Allie thrifted this a couple weeks ago, and she brought it back, and it's one of the coolest women's tops I've seen in a while. I don't know exactly how old it is or like what the story is, but it's made in India and it's got like quilt sleeves and like quilt highlights on the front. It's really cool. I wish I knew more about it. I have to do some research. Here's a few other random clothing finds that I've had that are just in my storage. This raccoon sweatshirt is really cool. It's a kid size, unfortunately. It's got to be from at least the 80s, maybe even the 70s. I've had this thing for at least 3 or 4 years now, and I don't really know what to do with it. Pretty sure it's like from a zoo or something. It just strikes me as something like that. I also found this Mr. T shirt in a basement of an estate sale probably 4 years ago now. I actually have like a TikTok about it. I don't know. You can probably go back and find it. But I found a bunch of other stuff in that video too. But this was something I found in there. It just sort of stained up and I don't know what to do with that either. Here's a cool Slippery Rock polo shirt. This is a school that's kind of north of Pittsburgh. And the other day at a thrift store, I found this Marlboro bag. I felt like the days of finding Marlboro at the thrift store might be over, but this was just like in the bag section again. It just sort of felt like when I first started thrifting, but I love this little thing. It's like a little lunch cooler and has 2 compartments in it. I used to use one of these when I was a flagger on a road crew in college. Memories. Last week I went to an estate sale and kind of the same deal as the other one I went to. I didn't find too much to make a whole video about it, but I found this 7-Up bottle that's turned into an ashtray, and I also found this hilarious Zippo lighter. Well, it's not actually a Zippo, but it's like Zippo style. You know what I mean. So here's some other clothes that I found at that estate sale that had those quarter zip sweatshirts that Polo Sport and Tommy Hilfiger stuff. This stuff, funny story about it. So I was looking through the one closet that I found all the quarter zips in, and I was asking the seller if there were any more clothes in the house, and she said one of the neighbors came over and donated everything. And I was like, damn, that sucks, you know. But I hear that type of story all the time. But anyways, she was like, I can give her a call just to make sure, because I know like she's pretty busy. And she gave the woman a call, the next door neighbor, and she still had all the clothes in her trunk of her car. So we went next door and I looked through the bags and I found all this stuff in the trunk of her car, especially this jacket. I was like, dang, you guys were gonna donate this? So cool. Dale Jarrett, Coca-Cola. I'm bringing all this stuff to the pop-up shop this weekend. Also, with all those hats that I found at the beginning, I also found this jacket at the flea market that same day. This one's a Jeff Hamilton jacket. Jeff Hamilton designed so many cool jackets in the 80s and 90s and even like early 2000s. This is the tag you should be looking for though. There's like another tag that's like JH Designs, and those ones aren't as valuable, but those are still good. But this is the real one you should be looking for. This jacket, super cool. It's a little like discolored, but yeah. Also, I have all these cowboy hats. I'm not bringing them to the event or anything, and I just don't really know what to do with them because like this one's really cool. It's got barbed wire going around it, but they're just, a lot of them are like really just sort of discolored, and so I don't even know how to, like this, look at this, discolored around the brim. They're nice hats, but I don't know what to do with them. Like this one too, this is a pretty nice one. It's a Stetson, but I have no idea how to clean it or anything. This one kind of feels like it's Pirates of the Caribbean or something. It's like a weird hat. Lone Star hats. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, this is another Stetson right here. But I'm not sure which ones are worth the money or anything like that. Or if they're worth anything at all. I really have no idea, especially in this condition. Justin, and this one. I got these all from a country western singer. I can put the video in right now. So here's the footage from the sale where I found these hats at. This was from last fall, and my apologies for it being vertical footage. This is from a TikTok and reel that I made. This is before I was making YouTube videos every week, but I ended up finding so much cool Western wear in this house. I found over 20 Western pearl snap shirts. I found all these cowboy hats there. This denim one, I have it somewhere, but I forget where I put it. I just couldn't find it when I was in my storage unit. But this was the house of Jody King. He was known as the Lone Star Cowboy. I had personally never heard of him before, but he traveled around America doing different shows. And one of the coolest things about his house was in the back, he had like a garage area, and in one of the rooms, it was a massive music studio. It was so much fun looking through everything. I know nothing about amps and stuff like that, so I really didn't buy anything back here, but I saw so much cool stuff. One of the best things back here that I regret not buying was this wooden chest that he used to take to different shows. I didn't even ask what they were pricing this at, but I'm guessing they weren't asking too much, so I definitely regret not buying it. Here's my entire haul. Obviously, the Western shirts were, I think, what my favorite finds were. There were just so many interesting ones, like this one with barbed wire on it. But just like Western shirts are the type of thing where you don't find the same one twice. There's so many out there that you just never see the same designs. But anyways, yeah, I still have all of these cowboy hats and I just don't really know what to do with them. So now back to my storage unit in present day. I got all of these from his house. This was just sort of part of what I bought. I bought a lot of like Western shirts and things like that. I got some bolo ties and belt buckles and a bunch of other stuff too. But yeah, I have no idea what to do with them now, because plus hats are just hard to sell, like these kind of hats, because they're marked like XL. It's like, how do you even post what size that actually fits like? And even ones that have the size on it, it's like, do they still fit like that? Or are they still like, do they shrink? Or I have no idea. So I found these about a month ago at an estate sale. If I can find the footage, I'll put it in here. I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere. But anyways, so I found these at an estate sale, and I originally filmed like my whole morning when I went to the sale, but I ended up not finding pretty much anything. I only found a few things, and these were one of them. They were hanging up on the wall. All the time at estate sales, I look to see what's hanging up, because you'd be surprised that people just miss when things are like hung up on a wall. And you can just tell these things have been on that wall forever. It looks like they're like faded from being on the wall for so long. When I found those signs, I just threw them in a box with a bunch of other random things, like this huge belt buckle. Not sure what I'm going to do with that. There's also this keychain that I'm pretty sure matches a belt buckle, but I'm not sure which one it is or where that's at. There's also this box of random lighters that I put together. I never made a video about it, but I found hundreds of vintage lighters from an old 7-Eleven supplier. I don't really know what to do with any of these. I have sold some at past vintage events, so maybe I'll continue to bring them. But when I originally bought them, I put this box together of sort of like the highlights of them. Each of these designs, I have like at least 20 of each, if not way more. It was kind of crazy talking to this guy about the lighter community. He says that it's kind of like extremely competitive. He said that back in the day, he used to go to lighter conventions to buy new lighter designs to then bring to 7-Elevens to convince them to buy his lighters. He said that at the conventions, different lighter companies would be super secretive about their designs. Like, he said this specific time, there was like a shell lighter, like a lighter that was shaped like a shell, and the company would not even put it out on the table because they were so scared other companies were going to copy their design. So crazy. So that's everything I pulled out today. Like I said, I'm just getting stuff ready for the pop-up, so I really didn't want to mess too much stuff up in my storage, but I ended up grabbing I think like around 150, 200 pieces to bring to Pittsburgh. I have a hard time trying to figure out how much I should bring to events like this, because relatively at every one of these events you get like a set amount of space, and it'll all fit in there, but it's just, you don't want to bring too much to overwhelm people. I know a lot of times, like when I'm shopping at a vintage market, if I see a booth that has too much stuff, like I don't want to look through, or if like the racks are too packed. So I'm trying a little bit the first event that I did this year, I brought, I think, too much stuff to, and sort of like the ones I've done since then, I've tried to bring less and less, even though I would think you should bring more, because if you bring more, you'll sell more. But sort of people don't look through if you bring too much stuff. So that's what I'm trying out. But anyway, so that was sort of some highlights of things that I pulled out. I obviously have way more than I even showed. And in future videos, I'll go through more of what I have. And I'm sure this summer we'll find tons of cool stuff. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.